Hello, and welcome to the stream of Chaos. My name is Dave, and I will be your keeper of arcane lore for this session of Call of Cthulhu. Today, we are returning to our ongoing campaign of the pulp epic, The Two-Headed Serpent. You can get your own copy from Chaosium.com. If you want to see the prologue chapters that we ran, which introduced our heroes in Bolivia, they are all collected over on the Chaosium YouTube channel. And if you want to join us live, if you're watching there, we do stream each Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific on the Chaosium Twitch channel. And then, if you want to see us like for real live, there is another option coming up, which is we are going to all be at PAX Australia, given we live in Australia, where we are going to be running a live sort of like with an audience thing game on Saturday, October 8th at 8 p.m. Pacific. If you can't make it, because we live on the bottom side of the world, it will be also streamed on the PAX channel, so you can catch it there. It'll be a one-shot, it won't be part of a continued campaign, but it should be a lot of fun.
And when you say 8 p.m. Pacific,
yes,
you mean the Pacific coast of Australia, not the Pacific time zone, which refers to the Pacific coast.
I think I just said Pacific because it's part of...
You did.
It's like melted into my brain. Yeah, not Pacific. 8 p.m. I went through it so clearly too.
Eastern time.
Thank you, Jackson.
It'll be Australian Eastern Daylight time.
Daylight time.
As well. Yeah.
It will, yeah.
I have like 10 reminders in my calendar for like check daylight savings around this period because I still don't understand it and I just need to look at it a lot. Thank you, Jackson. Yes. I tried to go through it so seamlessly too. Anywho. All right. Now then, I'd like to thank Roll20 and Sirenscape for being great tools, which we use to improve our game. And without further ado, let's jump back in. The four of you have left Bolivia and you have soared through the skies back to New York City. This is the base of Caduceus. It is also where you live, breathe. It's where you might have jobs, hobbies, friends, family, all of the above, all great things. As we return, you've each been given a week of sort of downtime, paid time off, where you're said to, get comfortable, take some time off. It's been a stressful couple of days. Not every job that sends you into serpent infested temples, so you can have some time. You'll then come back in and you'll like do a formal debrief process. They'll talk to you about it, any concerns you might have about serpent infested temples, any enthusiasm you want to bring forward about serpent infested temples, but that'll all come back in. So for the time being though, let's meet each of our investigators in their natural habitats. Let's meet them at home, see what their life's like, and just reintroduce like who you are and what you're like. Art, why don't you kick us off?
Hi, I'm Art. I'd like to talk to you about serpent-infested temples. No. Hi, I'm Art. I am playing Lieutenant Ares Carter. Bugs in my face already, yay. Who is a brilliant military tactician turned mercenary, who originally from the UK has set up base in New York City to be closer to Caduceus, where they do have been doing a bulk of their contracted work more recently. They have a comfortably appointed apartment in a nice enough area of New York City. I don't know New York, so fill in the blanks, please. The like apartment that they're in, it's all very like, clean lined and stylish, nothing too ostentatious. They are not flush with cash, but what they have is comfortable and sort of well made.
Does it look lived in or like recently moved in and still furniture being unpacked, or?
No, everything's unpacked. It looks lived in the way that a military barracks looks lived in.
Yeah.
It is very tidy, precisely, if you had to use a word. Although there are a couple of nods to sort of comfort in that there are like, cushions on chairs. Again, not a lot of frivolous stuff. All of it is to be used. They do probably the most noticeable thing outside the general aesthetic is that there is a sort of small safe in which is kept a handful of precious items, notwithstanding their service pistol and bayonet when not in use, and some personal effects that we'll get into later. If Lieutenant Carter was ever decorated in their service and their time in service, it is not on display.
Okay, interesting. I presume you don't have a pet.
No.
Not a regular standard issue goldfish.
No.
Okay.
Not against the idea of pets, but more am out of the house often enough. Yeah. There is probably like the occasional sort of stray dog or cat or pizza carrying rat, given that we're in New York, of which they are not they're not unkind to by any stretch of the imagination. They have wouldn't say they've got like an overbearing fondness for animals, but they are also not like, oh, get it out of my face. They're like, oh, it's an animal. It needs to be fed. Do you want to know how Ares has been spending their time, or do we get to that later?
Let's circle around. Yeah. So speaking of, I guess, pets and things, Jackson, could you introduce Dr. Sam?
Hey, that's me. I'm Jackson, and I'm playing Dr. Samuel Taylor Thompson, who is a pure soul, too good for this world, and just wants to help with good vibes only. I was thinking about it. I don't know if Sam could live in the city. I think he might have a small plot of land a little ways outside. Does that suit you and your plans, Dave?
Yeah, no, 100%. That's great. The only alternative I was thinking was you could have the rooftop of somewhere, and you've secured like the whole flat of it, so you can like have your kit and shit up there. But yeah,
I did consider that, but it doesn't seem quite safe. So yes, Sam has a small, I think, plot of land with a rundown kind of farmhouse and a big old red barn inside which he tinkers with his mechanical proclivities. And plenty of space for his falcon companion to stretch his wings.
Do you take like mundane jobs? Would like local farmers come in with like their tractor that you're vastly overqualified for?
Absolutely, and he would fix it up in exchange for a bag of coffee or a couple of peaches.
Yeah, hell yeah! Right behind the tractor, there's the horse that needs to be looked at, and right behind that, there's the kid that's got a sniffle, and you just work your way down.
That's right. Yes. He's a pillar of the community.
That's fantastic. Love it. All right. Speaking of pillars, strong and stable, James, can you introduce Hubert?
Yes, absolutely. Hubert is a lovely man too. He's very, very big in every sense of the word, towering above everything. I think Hubert lives with his mother, and when the plane arrives, comes back, we end up at a sort of commercial airport, finds her waiting somewhere inside the terminal, and she's somehow managed to find herself there and immediately get lost and lose her bag or something, because he cares for her as much as she cares for him. She's very, very small, and they walk out arm in arm with her reaching up to like hold on to his proffered forearm. Hubert is very, very rich. If you think he's big, you should see the size of his fortune. So I probably have several houses, and I think I live in a penthouse somewhere in Manhattan, going around and, just taking it easy. A little bit of lunch, a little bit of theater, all nice activities.
That's tremendous. So you live with your mother. Do you keep pets? Do you keep any other family members there, or is it just the two of you?
I think I've been thinking about getting a pet, but I haven't picked one up yet. I think I probably had we probably had like some puppy that like lived to like 35 or something, a tiny little dog that just managed to completely outshine its lifespan. It finally passed a few years ago, and we've only just managed to get through the emotional hurt. So we're looking at something soon. But we live in the penthouse suite together, and it's just it's a nice place. They're kind of high society of fashionable people.
Love it. Gorgeous. Speaking of fashionable people, that's seamless. Alex, can you please introduce Minnie?
Hi, I'm Alex. I'm playing Wilhelmina Sinclair, a transplant from London, the not very nice part of London. However, she's done quite well for herself over here in New York City. She's living in kind of around Midtown East, basically where Grand Central Library is, which was a primary driver for living in this particular location. And indeed, her apartment, which is not large, is full of books. There are books on every single surface. There's notebooks, tomes, scrolls, copies of things hand done and photocopied as well. It's a treasure trove of words in Wilhelmina's apartment. And what she does mostly is drink a lot of tea, eat a lot of biscuits, and go through all of the words that she has surrounded herself with, taking notes. And she does work, often hired to translate, alliterate, find particular passages about particular things, and spends a lot of her time around that Midtown area, occasionally strolling to the park, mostly strolling to the library, staying at the library, getting kicked out of the library when it closes. That kind of enjoyable activity.
It sounds like a pretty good gig. Surrounded by tea and books.
All the time.
Worst places, yeah. Oh, fantastic. Okay, so these are our 4 heroes returned from abroad and settling back in. We mentioned that Dr. Sam sort of would take up more mundane mechanical jobs and things from time to time. What about the rest of you? Lieutenant Carter, Minnie, you said you get the occasional employee to translate or seek out information in the library or your own personal collection. Mr. Smith, I suppose, do you...
I go about once a month to visit an accountant who tells me that everything's fine, and it's a different accountant every month because we've diversified. And sometimes they tell me they've done things, and they go, "Oh, yes, very, very good. You know, the money keeps making itself. Good, good, good." And then I go back to the theatre. Inherited wealth. It's a wonderful
I'd say
thing.
that Minnie does go to the theatre with you, but occasionally.
I would love that. Please, yes, fantastic.
Particularly if it's like an opera or something in another language, that's ideal, really.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. I think Hubert doesn't understand a word, but he's just happy to be there.
Lieutenant Carter, you're also based in the city. Do you catch up with the others, or is everyone kind of separate a little bit and debrief after the previous events?
I mean, I would say Lieutenant Carter is quite comfortable in their own company. They haven't desperately they've been in New York long enough that they have like their sort of own friends, acquaintances. They also attend the theater, although whether or not it is the same type as the others, I don't think it is an organized thing. I suspect we run into each other at something. I have being accompanied by one of a handful of good friends that Ares has, that, you know, sort of like go to cultural events. They have a military pension, so outside of the work they do with Caduceus, they're relatively comfortable. They don't have to sort of take on additional work above and beyond what Caduceus gives them. If they're not at the theatre, then they are very likely to have disappeared off into one of the better speakeasies in New York City, probably with a book. Drinking the nicest whiskey available that they can find in a couple of their regulars. They keep a tally of how many people offer to buy them a drink, and they very rarely get through about 2 pages of their book. I think I described it. They go to things often alone, but rarely without company. So that is very much Ares's time in New York is just enjoying the good things between murder.
So let's focusing in on that. There are tons of speakeasies all throughout New York. A lot of them are run by different organizations, some with, you know, sort of gang affiliations or more or less sponsored by politicians and, allowed to kind of function. Others are basically just holes in the wall where, you can get in if you knock on the appropriate door, and then it's really just bottles of bathtub gin. You find yourself, as you mentioned, in one of the nicer ones and surrounded by people enjoying the night, as are you. You've got a book open to a page and you've been sitting on it for a little while without progressing due to equal parts company and memories. Lieutenant Carter, you had a lot of time with snakes recently, and they kind of began to worm inside, and you can't help but shake that feeling of being back there with them slithering over you. How have you handled the return to society?
Are there many snakes in the city, Dave?
Not tons. But
and I think I'm fine.
So it's just when you see the actual thing, you're able to sort of keep your memory separate?
I don't think I've gone to the zoo lately. And if I have, I certainly haven't spent time in the reptile enclosure. I think at the moment, because we haven't had a full-blown mechanical madness, it's not quite a phobia yet, but it's definitely a, not gonna seek this out, but so long as the impetus for the dislike is not in front of them, I don't think it is something that is sort of they ruminate on too much. You're talking to someone who has seen frontline war on multiple occasions, so being able to sort of compartmentalize things, I think, is something that they're quite good at doing. How that comes through when those compartmentalizations break, we'll find out, but for now it's compartmentalized and it's fine.
And I love the use of yet and for now and things of that nature. Well, you've had several people coming and going, and as you said, you tend to be the subject of attention in these places. But throughout the night, despite memories and company, you also can't shake the feeling that you might be being watched. Every now and then you look up and you might catch the eye of someone at the bar who's looking across at you, but that never seems to shake it. When you're in conversations, your spine prickles occasionally, and when you look out across the masses of people, you always feel like you're going to find someone standing stock still in the center of it all, staring right back at you. You've felt this a couple times since you returned. It's been a few days, and you don't know if it's just the leaking memories or someone actually tailing you.
If I have been feeling this for a few days, it will be tucked away in my jacket. Actually, probably in my boot, but I will have my bayonet on me at minimum. Potentially, if it's been a few days, since we've got back,
it's
I may
only
also.
Sorry, you go ahead.
No, I was just I don't know that I would have my service pistol on me at the moment, although I don't know what the standard is for New York City. But I think I have.
You'd probably have
in
the
the back
license to carry. I would presume you'd. Sounds right.
Who knows? For the moment, we'll stick with there is a relatively nice bronzy colored knife that is tucked down the back of my belt. So it's behind, underneath coat jacket. It's easily accessible, but it's just just in case.
Yeah. And this is only just sort of crystallizing. You felt it a couple times, but you pushed it away. It's only just now as you're sitting here, and throughout the night, you've noticed it a number of times. There was
enough of a notice, the reason the knife is there is because, again, Eris is military. You do not ignore weird feelings. I don't know what it was, but something was off, so the knife goes in the belt.
Okay.
Now I'm aware someone is looking. Maybe I'll start carrying the pistol next time, but for the moment, I'll have a look around to see if I can see who it is, although I suspect I've already done that and not spotted them, so...
Could you make a spot hidden roll for me, actually?
I can certainly attempt to make a spot hidden roll. And succeed. Yay.
Okay. Looking around, scanning the crowd, you spot a number of folks that will, look at you in passing, and when your eyes glaze over, they either look away and return to their business, or a couple will catch it and walk over, thinking you might want to have a conversation. But you don't immediately spot anyone sort of leering or looking out from behind a newspaper with holes cut in it. If there's someone out you watching you conspicuously, they're either fairly well trained or it's nerves. And like you said, you tend to trust your nerves, so if there is someone, they're pretty good, or they're at least above the standard pedestrian.
Okay. I am going to do my utmost to not let it be obvious that I've noticed or that it's sort of bothering me, and continue having a drink.
Okay.
And enjoying my time, because I have some time off. That's nice.
You finish your evening, and then late at night or early in the morning, begin to make your way home. It's spring when we come in, but it's still relatively cold at night. And as you get back to your apartment, there's a small cat winding its way along the doorstop that leaps away as you approach, and you can let yourself inside. Have you taken any precautions on your return home in an attempt to shake anyone that may be tailing you, or keep an eye out for anyone following?
I mean, both, almost certainly. I would have kept an eye out for anyone following, and I would have... I actually don't think I would have changed my route or tried to shake them. I think I just would have tried to keep an eye out for someone following, because if I change my route and I lose them, I am not going to find out who they are. And they're not going to find out what a terrible idea it is to be following me.
Okay. So you sort of pop picture like the jacket being popped up and then walking through dark streets underneath lights. Most other people are in bed this late, and your heels strike at the ground as you stride towards your apartment. As you get there and withdraw, you reach into the pocket to feel your keys. Right next to it is holstered the bayonet, and for a moment you feel, your hand twitches between the two as you notice out of the corner of your eye, there's sort of like, you've got glass windows on the apartment. You see a reflection, and there's a car parked on the other side of the street that isn't usually here. It's a sleek black looking number, and slumped down in the driver's seat you can see there is still a figure inside. You have not revealed that you have noticed them.
Cool. I will continue to not reveal that I've noticed them, and what I am gonna do is No, I will. You said there's a cat, so I'll lean down and be like, "Good evening, Mr. Nibbles. It's nice to see you." Give him a bit of a scritch, and then pull the key out, open my door. Again, mindful of anything out of the ordinary on the door or behind it, and then just flick on the light as I go in. It's kind of the first thing I do is check to make sure the lights are working, and if they're working, then past that, I can kind of take my time in doing things. I have noted the car is there, and I may have more things I want to do once I'm inside, but for now.
You open the door, get the key and lock, and inside open, and you're able to flick the light on with ease. Immediately, there is one thing out of note. There is, I say you have a very Spartan setup, nothing out of place, but they're sitting directly on the floor, laying across the sort of entranceway. What's the thing you clean your boots on? That'd be on the inside. Anyway, whatever. On the floor, there is a sealed letter with the stamp of Caduceus on the top of it. On the inside, you will quickly find a note from one Quentin Shapiro, who was your handler on the previous mission, and it reads, "Apologies, leave cut short, return to Foundation tomorrow morning."
Yes. Ares has a very nice, sharp letter opener. There's just one swift movement. It opens it, reads it, folds it up, puts it back in the envelope, slides it onto a very clean desk into what is essentially an in tray.
Yeah.
And locks the door and gets ready for bed. visibly gets ready for bed.
Oh yeah. We'll leave Lieutenant Carter there, keeping an eye on the door and with, the weaponry within range, and preparing to head back into the Foundation the next day. Awesome. Elsewhere, sorry, Jim?
If I can throw something out very quickly.
Yeah, hell yeah.
If I think that Hubert would be exactly the kind of person to have tried to keep up correspondence with everybody. So if it adds to anyone, if anyone gave him their address, he's been sending a lot of letters, just keeping up, really just long streams of consciousness, and then really badly coded. Like, wasn't that thing super weird? The hissing thing, and then like a little drawing of a snake. Anyway,
and every time that Minnie actually sees Hubert, Hubert, dear, we see each other every week. You don't need to send me 6-page letters. You can just tell me when we see each other. I'm seeing you now. I will see you next week.
I just forget. So much on my mind, and I can't get it all out at once. And if I can add one more thing,
Hubert has ADHD confirmed.
And if I add one more thing, Dave, I will say that I've whereas I think Carter was very, very coolly able to sort of compartmentalize, Hubert is not, and everything looks like a snake. And he'll be walking into Central Park and at a tree and almost fall over on a park bench, which groans as he collapses onto it. It's happening all the time.
Yeah, hell yeah. I was gonna say, I reckon I wanted to zoom in on. I think Hubert and Minnie mentioned that you go to the theater semi-regularly. I was gonna say, on one of these nights, what kind of event might we find the two of you at that you'd be enjoying together? You mentioned foreign opera or something like that.
I imagine it's
perhaps it's the ballet this time. Perhaps it's the ballet. Perhaps we're seeing Swan Lake or something.
Okay, I love
Tchaikovsky's The Nutcracker.
Oh, probably not this time of year.
Oh yeah, in spring. No, that's a fair point.
Fantastic then. Oh yeah, that sounds perfect. So yeah, we'd be heading down. Hubert's coming up. I imagine like he's got the guidebook. Mm-hmm. He's got like a theater book that he's bought, and he's like filling out the. That's probably like a prearranged season thing where he can write notes
like
on everything.
Must-sees of the whatever.
But he's not a good theater critic, so every note just says lovely, spectacular, great,
outstanding. Do you think this is your Minnie? Are you well off, or would this be Hubert's shout, or what's the arrangement?
I feel like it's Hubert's shout. Minnie's pretty much all of Minnie's budget goes to books and her apartment. Mm-hmm. It is in a very nice neighborhood, but it is small and costs her pretty much everything she has that doesn't go to books.
Yeah.
I think Hubert is very inconsequential with money.
A generous
and
soul.
I feel like Minnie subsists on like black coffee and day old bakery goods most of the time.
And we go out for dinner afterwards. We order 2 giant meals. I eat both of them, and you sip a coffee.
So I was going to say, inside the theater, as you've settled into comfortable box seats, watching the performance, the dancers on stage whirling and swirling and winding throughout their performance, you can't help but watch the trailing silks and see them as vaguely serpentine in manner. Hubert and Minnie, how are the two of you handling your return? What does this... Do we see a visual... Hubert, you mentioned yours is quite... clear. What do we say?
Oh God, I think he's having a lovely time. He's sitting there, and then as something happens and the dancers begin to look snake-like, it's probably like but he has to stifle it because he's in polite company. And he'll pick up a little pair of opera glasses and turn them the wrong way so he can't see anything, and jam them into his eyes so he's blind. And then sit there kind of nodding as if he's really enjoying it, but he's really got his eyes tight shut.
Hell yeah. Minnie?
Minnie's having a very good time because Minnie, after the last adventure, is a little bit suspicious of statues, but this is great because everybody's moving.
Okay, yeah, it's when they stop.
No surprises.
And someone stands to strikes a pose and begins to deliver a monologue or a song or whatever it is they do on stage.
There's some set pieces that are a little bit concerning, sort of always waiting for one of the set pieces to start moving, but it doesn't, so we're all good.
Do you think the two of you are is there like comfort in company? There's a bit of like, we've been through we went through this together. It's someone I can. Do you talk about it a lot? If we go to the diner afterwards?
No, never. No. Absolutely not. No. Talk about what?
What do you find in common to talk about then? Did you just speak of the theater when you're meeting afterwards, or?
I feel like we each talk about the things that we like, completely independent of each other.
Yeah, I think Hubert is just interested in everything, so would be very happy to hear about all the different books that Minnie's read, and like, you know, all just like the sort of accumulated knowledge. And I think Hubert really needs company just in general in all parts of his life. He's always spending time with somebody. So yeah, absolutely, he's trying to see as many people as possible. So yeah.
Awesome. So as the play wraps and you share a meal afterwards and a earnest discussion of literature and world travel and exciting topics, I think we find the two of you heading back via Hubert. Your penthouse is not far from the line that will take it out to Minnie's, and you've mentioned a book or something that she might like to borrow, and you've both traveled up the elevator towards your accommodation. What do we see as we head into your house? Is it like you're the top floor of the whole thing and you get a special button, or?
Yeah, I actually don't know how these super like opulent apartments would work.
You'd be upper east side, I think.
I
with a
guess,
view over
yeah.
the park. You'd probably have a doorman.
Yeah, I was going to say there's almost certainly like someone in the lift who presses the buttons, and like you only get to press the top button if you're recognized in Hubert.
I got a ton of credit rating. I'm just gonna throw out stuff that I think is cool. It's like a huge ground floor is just a whole lobby. There's like a doorman who goes and greets me, takes my coats and presses a button, and it goes up to the top floor. And I think it's very, you know, opulent Art Deco 1920s kind of thing.
Do you have a grand piano?
I have two. Because I guess like
a grand and a mediocre, a grand and a tremendous piano.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So the operator pulls the levers and whatever other contraptions are needed to make lifts work, and you begin to rise up, and it goes high enough that Minnie begins to get like, okay, it needs to stop at some point, right? Like you can feel the continuing to rise. The atmosphere begins to change. Your ears pop as you ascend to the heights of Manhattan. And then eventually it begins to slow, and with a ding, those deadly looking elevated doors are pulled ajar as you've been seeing the passage go past the entire time. And you can step out into the entryway of Mr. Smith's accommodation. There's sort of chandeliers hanging along it, and across the way you can see a wide set of glass windows that look down on the never sleeping city, with the light still bubbling around and people going about their business. Out in the center, Hubert, you see that near the bookshelf that you were going to retrieve the tome from to give to Minnie, there is a comfortable chair with your mother seated inside it, with a over-fluffed bathrobe that sort of pulls up around her ears, tucked around her. She appears to have dozed off. She is a very old-looking woman with wispy hair and a set of large glasses that have slipped down off her nose and are now resting more around her mouth. And she has clasped in her hands what looks like a wrapped box, like for a gift with a ribbon and everything, although there's clearly a bunch of holes punched in it, and a solitary helium balloon has been tethered to it and is very faintly wafting away from her when she exhales, then seeking back as she just then
upon seeing her, I was like, oh, she's got me a present. Our mother's wonderful. Don't look so cute. Well, please come in. Don't worry about being quiet. The train could go through the apartment. She wouldn't wake up.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I assume I would have met Mother Dearest before if we've hung out a few times. So, right. Well,
do we need to call her Mrs. Smith, or?
Yeah,
what does she prefer?
Yes, I would presume so. She'll not that I think that she has great hearing, so she probably can't tell what you call her. But anyway, I'll hurry over, take the box, put it on the table, put a little blanket across her, or some
Is
other
it your
thing.
birthday?
Yeah, no, I just give presents. You know, it's always good to practice gratitude. I've been reading a book on love languages, you see, and I found out that
right.
the giving of gifts is anyway.
This whole conversation is held booming over his sleeping mother, who does not move not an iota. Minnie, I wonder, what is your relationship with your family? You left them all back home in England?
In England, yes. I write less often than I probably should, but whenever I can remember. So as often as I am able.
Yep. Do you think you see something of your own relationship with your parents in Hubert's with his mother? Is it sort of different, or
not so much? No. We're a little bit. We're not quite as close. I was very much encouraged to go out and make my own way, and I think my parents would. Well, I can imagine there are several things that they would rather do than have me move back home or to move in with me. I feel like that would be the bottom of a very long list for them. They value my independence as well as their own. Very supportive, but
of course,
I'm not sure this is the arrangement that they would choose.
Yeah, and so that might seem a little strange for the outside.
Just a little bit odd.
Very supportive, very British.
Yes, but I do find this American closeness a little bit effusive and unusual.
Well, my mother always said it's the found family that matters, and since she found herself with me, we may as well be close.
I don't know if that's the usage of. Open your gift. I'd love to see what she got you.
You begin to untether. There's a massive printed letter which reads in huge but very beautiful font, "Welcome home, darling." And as you take that away, that on the mantelpiece, and you begin to unopen it, you will hear the very faintest from something living on the inside. And when you unfurl it, we're kind of not at cages, I don't think, technology, so it's like a box with holes punched in it by a pencil. And drawing it away, you see nested amongst some straw and things is a hamster, a small little fluffy fellow.
I will keen loudly enjoy as I pick it up, eyes going wide like a cartoon character as I pick it up. And hurry over to Minnie. Look, a pet, and it's not an anemic poodle.
Oh, you have a poo? I've never seen a dog here.
It was gone for a while, but look! Oh, it's adorable.
That's a rodent, isn't it? It's a rodent.
I think it's a hamster. It's wonderful. Look at it. It's sitting about half the size of.
Yeah.
Is that not a rodent though? Hamsters are rodents.
Are they technically?
Yes, I believe so. Very cute though. What are you going to name? Her, I think.
Her? She looks so delicious. I think maybe. I can't think of a name yet. I'll come up with something. Or maybe there's a letter left over. I'll hurry back to the box and start to look through it. Now, full disclosure, I did a little bit of background talking with Dave and said I want a pet hamster because it's funny. So I was slightly expecting this to come, but I need to throw out how silly I can go with the name, because obviously hamsters are eaten by snakes, which I think is great. Is it too much to call the hamsters something like Yummy or something?
Appetizer.
Morsel?
Morsel's good.
That's so good.
Morsel's very good. I think Yummy's funny too. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
Again, because you did that.
Gonna go with Morsel. I think
Morsel's great.
Little Morsel. Because she's a cute little morsel. I love her.
Did you mention that James, kind of expected the hamster to come? Did Hubert also was dropping a lot of hints? And so he goes, "Oh, what a surprise!" Then goes to the cage he'd brought previously, and there's all the tunnels set up, and he's like, "In you go."
Moves the 3 books of like hamsters of the world that are on the coffee table.
Puts it in the cage, pre-prepared. Oh, what a lovely surprise.
Excellent. Yes. Yes. Oh God. I love that.
Fantastic.
Well, that's lovely that your mother can clearly read what you're wishing for. Did you buy that for yourself and plant it in her lap?
She's like a mind reader, sort of. Anyway, it's all, you know. Once you get very close to someone, you just need but a glance.
You bought that for
to
yourself, didn't you, Hubert?
Pretty much. But
Okay.
she'll appreciate it. I'll walk over. And is it visible that Minnie doesn't seem to like rodents like at all? Or is this just kind of like a what the hell?
I think it's just more of a perplexed kind of why would you purchase yourself a rodent in New York City?
That does feel like a very American thing.
It feels like something somebody very British would be very perplexed by. It feels.
I can understand that. I'll walk over and put it into its cage and sort of get it back. Walk back over to Minnie, get the book that we spoke about. I'd say,
Yes.
well, you know, you're obviously somebody who knows a lot about animals. Then, if after what we've seen, I know we haven't really brought it up, so I'll let that hang in the air a little bit.
Yes.
Is there a reason you could find yourself ever buying or owning a pet snake?
No.
All right, fair enough.
It's nothing to do with the snakes themselves. I think they're fascinating animals. We travel too much. I'm never home, and my neighbors are certainly not reliable. The closest thing I have to a pet is the world's fattest tomcat, who I think is everybody's in the building, and everybody feeds him. And he doesn't miss me when I'm gone, and I really just don't think a pet is an appropriate thing for me to have when, I mean, who knows when I'm going to be off next.
Well, that makes sense. I'm lucky in that capacity in that I have my
Yes.
mother to take care of the hamster, and I would drift towards her and imagine she's like slopped her head sideways and is looking pretty close to dead, or vice versa, I suppose. Anyway.
Yes, quite. Well, the rodent is making a bit more sense. I can't imagine they're particularly challenging to look after.
I hope so. And like you said, you know, if things all go bad, it's New York City. I'm sure it'll be fine amongst all of its brethren.
Brethren. Yes, right.
I'll hand you the book, and I guess we turn to the elevator and head back out.
Also, will be a morsel for a New York City rat.
Yeah.
I'm gonna enroll it in karate classes so it can take care of itself.
So from
Alongside 4 plucky turtles.
hell yeah. From here, Minnie, you'll take the tome and head back down and make your way to the subway line and across to your own home. It's a bit of travel to get there.
I don't think it's too far.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not quite up. I'm not quite Upper East, but
Yes.
East Mid. So
manageable, especially sort of given
Yeah.
it'd probably like be like 11 or so when you got to Hubert, so you'd
Yeah.
arrive early in the morning. What does your accommodation look like? What do we see as you head towards your home?
it's quite a nice old brownstone, bit of ivy on the walls, in a good little area of lots of little coffee shops and bodegas
hell yeah.
around it. Very, very residential. Not particularly nice, but not particularly scummy either. Definitely upper end of what she can afford. The apartment itself is quite small, 1 bedroom. Cozy in that kind of eclectic nana chic way, where there's just things on every surface, and a huge black tomcat kind of
Hell yeah.
just lying on his back on the bottom step of the brownstone and just kind of yowling at anybody who walks past.
Just letting him know he sees him. Awesome. Does the door open fully when you go to turn the keys, or do you get this one as it hits a pile of books and then it ship you to get inside?
Well, there's the shoulder to get it moving because this isn't a new building.
Yep.
And then there's the thunk as it hits the books behind, and instead of shoving them, he's just going to kind of take a breath and sidle in.
Hilarious. On the
door
inside, as you begin to turn your lights, you catch all the the piles of books scattered around, different adventure stories you'd read, historical pieces, literature, a couple of subjects of study that you're currently translating and finding key information from. Somehow, you will need to notice the letter from Caduceus has been slipped underneath the door. And I wonder, is that because there's order in the chaos? Is it because you slip on it and notice it there on the ground? Or is there some sort of system?
I know where everything is. It's only chaos to the untrained eye. I think I probably would have gotten my mail when I was downstairs, and mum and dad have sent me some biscuits again, which is marvelous because you can't get any good biscuits in America. They're just terrible. And it's a property. So I'm taking my little care package upstairs, and why wasn't this just in my mailbox? Why is it on the floor? That's a bit odd.
You crack it open. You'll notice the same.
Just tear the end open.
You'll notice the same letter that was delivered to Lieutenant Carter, and the same letter that Hubert will be given by his doorman when he next heads past, saying that tomorrow morning things have escalated and you're to come in to debrief as soon as possible. Unfortunately, your vacation has been cut short.
Oh, goody. And immediately go to her work desk and pen a note to the individual for whom she was finding some very dry ancestral terms about that they're desperate to look at their ancestry and their family tree in the hopes that there's something a little bit more interesting in there. But no, unfortunately, thus far there's not, and it's very, very boring for me. So this is brilliant. This is fantastic. Boring job to the side. Off out again. Leave is over. That's great.
Excited and looking forward to tomorrow. All right, fantastic. Yeah. We'll leave Biddy and Hubert there as they retire for the evening and travel all the way out to the big smoke and to Dr. Sam's little, I guess not even little, his farm place. Dr. Sam, what do we see as we head out towards your accommodation?
As I said, it's like a bit of a tumble down kind of farmhouse that he hasn't had the time to put work into.
Yep.
So there might be a couple of holes in the roof and cracks in the floorboards, but it's livable and it's comfortable, and he's managed to make it feel cozy despite its age.
Do you have any other family that lives with you, or any other pets beyond your hawk? Is it hawk or falcon? I can't remember. Bird.
New Zealand falcon, I believe.
Yeah.
Is that right, or was it a hawk?
Sounds right.
It was a falcon.
It was a falcon.
Yeah, it was a falcon. Yeah. No, I think it's just him. He's picked because he travels. Like he probably hasn't been here that long, and he probably who knows how long he wants to spend here, because his raison d'etre, as can be said, is to travel around and test his flying machine in all the different kind of climes and areas of the world. So yeah, he doesn't see this as a permanent kind of fixture.
Oh hell yeah!
Moving on before long.
So yeah, and I guess your energy is kind of focused not on the house but on this wonderful machine, which as we see the large hangar or whatever that you have set up, do we see all the previous iterations? Like there's the Model 3 that exploded over the woods, and there's the Model 8, which if I could just get that propeller working, that's a real taker.
I mean, he probably doesn't have the money to build an entire new model from scratch, so it's probably just bits and pieces from previous iterations. It's the flying machine of Theseus.
Yeah.
You might be able to put together another one with all the spare bits, but he takes it apart, swap things out, tinker with the parts, put them back in, that kind of thing.
Hell yeah!
Just laid out over this big red barn.
Is this
the one bit that's a little bit soggy after pulling it out of the Hudson?
That's right.
Is this where you've been focusing your time, given your leave? Is this like, okay, boy, I get a week, I'm just going to focus on the machine, I'm going to throw myself into the work, and I'm going to get that next upgrade?
Yeah, it's like looking at everything he learned from the jungles of South America. Might have been his first time there. So he was like, oh, how did the humidity affect this part? What kind of vegetation clogged up, the exhaust and the propeller and all that stuff, and figuring out how next time he finds himself in the jungle in South America, how can he make it perform better?
Are you applying any specific upgrades based on your experiences? Like, are you working on a roof clamp that you can, you attach this frame to the top of the vehicle and then the thing should slot on and you can try and at least carry it over? Yeah, hell yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah, because we jerry rigged it that last time, but yes, yeah, we've got a proper clamp so we can clamp onto a vehicle. Do you want to give me do you have
engineering or a similar skill for
good question.
Piecing this together? I know
Just
you have mechanical repair, which is our more functional one. You can definitely make a mechanical repair roll. It'll probably just be something that might be hard, as you're, this is a oh,
No.
it's in process. You've got the clamp thing, but it can't take off or anything, and you're working on making sure it detaches, or otherwise you're sitting up there looking like a little bit of a silly
Safety
goose.
first.
Yeah. So I guess as you finish this, you're getting it's sort of early morning when you've got up, and you're taking it out for a test flight, zipping along throughout the countryside, taking in the trees and everything. As you're soaring across a couple of branches, you see a glint of something underneath, and for a moment it's almost like a flash of fire down there, and then you recall seeing something down there in the jungles of Bolivia, burst of flame from the treetops. You remember seeing the explosions in the distance, and then delving down into the strange temple. How is Dr. Sam handling his return to normalcy?
Great. No, my last sanity roll was a critical success. It's nothing to complain about.
Do you remember how sweet it was?
Although I think what really kind of stuck out to him was turning his gun on something with 2 legs and 2 arms and a head.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he's ever done that.
Yeah.
Let alone something not recently. Like he had this rifle for large animals when he's out in the wilderness, but the fact that he had to point it at someone that was humanoid shaped, and the fact that
We did do the war together.
but he was a medic. I imagine, kind of back from the front lines a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact that there are people who aren't people is probably really what stuck with him.
Is there a level of like throwing yourself into the work to kind of distract yourself, keep yourself here in the moment?
Absolutely. And maybe he's a little bit more kind of narrowed-eyed when someone comes walking up his driveway that he doesn't immediately recognize.
Well, that's funny you say that. As you begin to swing back around and come back in for the descent, you do see a car which is pulling up. It is clearly not outfitted for leaving New York streets, and it has gotten kind of stuck in one of the muddier patches leading up to your house. And just stepping outside, as you begin to head in towards it, you'll see a short figure in a suit, although the shirt has been all undone. A sort of hat has been drawn back up, and he's patting at the sweat on his brow despite the relatively cooler conditions. As you go back in, for a moment there's a who is this, but you'll recognize this as Quentin Shapiro, the man who is the handler for you in Bolivia and your kind of contact inside Caduceus. And after stowing your miraculous flying machine and heading out towards him, he will approach and say, I struggle to find the place. There's not a lot of markers, Sam.
Oh, yeah, but you hear a buzzing overhead. You're probably in the right place, eh?
It was a good way to spot it. Good to see you. I hope you've been taking time working on your devices and enjoying the countryside.
Can't complain about the peace and quiet. Have a bit of time to put your feet up.
It's nice out here. It's calm. Listen, I'm sorry to do this to you, and I would have sent a letter, but I wasn't sure that it'd arrive. We need to bring you back in. We need to debrief as soon as possible. Something's come up, and we might have another opportunity to make use of your expertise.
Of course. Anywhere people need help, and I can help get to them. That's what I'm reading.
I hate to impose, but I appreciate your flexibility. If you're quite ready, I can drive you in today. We can we'll put you up inside the city, and then you can join the others for their meeting at the foundation in the morning. Is that suitable?
That'll be fine. Give me a few minutes to lock up.
I appreciate it, Sam. What's it look like? You sort of secure the large hangar and put all the pieces together. What's the inside? You mentioned it's a little run down inside the house itself. Would you invite Quentin in and sort of set him up with a coffee as you go about your business?
You want to have a cup of tea while you wait?
I'd appreciate that mightily, Sam. He sort of seats himself down, and you go about packing all your things. What would you bring? What's Dr. Sam's day bag, and how many wrenches does it have in it?
Well, if it's just a meeting in the city, I think I don't think he's planning to bring the machine in.
Mm-hmm.
But certainly he'd probably have like a first aid kit, like a light traveling medical bag that he doesn't he's never far away from, with a stethoscope and a couple of bandages close to hand. But otherwise, I think probably much like Lieutenant Carter from his army days, he's probably inherited that kind of Spartan aesthetic of just take what you need and keep it close to hand.
Oh yeah. Will the bird whose name I'm afraid to say I've forgotten come with you into the city? Lancet, of course. Will Lancet come with you?
Yes, absolutely. He's never far behind. He can probably kind of blend in quite well amongst the big city raptors that are stalking the rooftops.
Sort out a few of them. So Lancet does not like to be caged, I imagine. Lancet is kind of a free bird. Yeah, awesome.
No such thing, yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah. All right, awesome. You pack your gear and are herded back into the car and then we'll drive back into the city. How do you take to the city? This is more like a practical thing that you're outside rather than actively dislike of urban areas. Is that right?
Well, yeah, he'd never choose to live in a city because his calling is the remote reaches of the world where people are in trouble and he can come and help. So yes, it just doesn't grab his imagination. A city will never grab his imagination like the countryside does.
Yeah, hell yeah. You're driven into the city and you'll be put up in a motel or something similar for the night. Practical, but not particularly comfortable. And come morning, you'll make your way down towards the Foundation. Quentin tells you that he will meet you there. And as the four of you make your way independently through the streets of New York, they're heaving with people coming and going, blaring on horns and driving bicycles that barely make their way out of driving into oncoming traffic. People yell and call, trying to hawk wares or hurl abuse at tourists. And you all gather out at the base of a massive building right in the center of the city, which is the Caduceus Foundation. By some incredible twist of fate, the four of you all arrive within moments of one another and immediately spot each other through the crowds and can make your reintroductions, as it may have been some time for some of you.
Hello. Oh gosh. Oh, Hubert, watch out for the...
I'm rushing over trying to say hello to everybody.
Oh, dear. I think he said he was walking there.
Oh God. Oh, fantastic. We are in New York. It's good to see you all. I just get my letters as I come through, greet everyone individually, make sure you're all okay.
Give him a big cuddle.
I might snap a mock salute. Well, actually, it's not a mock salute. It's just a bad salute to Carter. Back to work, I can see. All ready to go?
Yes, looks like. Nice to see you, Mr. Smith, Miss Sinclair. It's always a pleasure.
Elbow jab to Carter.
Yes.
Keeping busy?
As much as possible.
Right. I'm kind of, I confess, I'm kind of relieved that our leave has been cut short. It's, New York is fun, but...
Yes, I am... I saw the two of you. Did you enjoy, what was that play? Broadway, I forget. I saw the two of you there.
Yes. That lovely woman that you were with. I didn't catch her name. I'm sure it's not important.
Reggie.
Oh, yes. I never really enjoyed it quite a lot. Musicals are not normally my thing, though, so...
No, but it is sometimes nice to get out and just kind of enjoy oneself, you know?
Yes, quite. Oh, well, shall we? I'd hate to keep Caduceus waiting.
Just before we go in, you...
Right.
You think they're calling us in about all of that, right?
Well, they did mention a debrief, Mr. Smith, so one would assume that we are debriefing and not being briefed. Otherwise, they wouldn't have mentioned that.
Well, in my experience, a debrief usually leads to a brief pretty quickly.
Oh, with this group, it certainly does, doesn't it?
That's just the thing, sometimes you get called in for a meeting and people talk at you and you can just have it in one ear, out the other. It's not important. But this, I feel like this might be important.
Yes, Caduceus generally is a sort of organization where you want to listen when they talk. It's how you don't end up at the bottom of a river.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, though. That's exactly it.
Or shallow grave.
That's a little less fun. All right, let's go inside. Okay.
Pretty calls.
Like, turn, jacket will flare a little. There will be you get the slight shine of a service revolver underneath it.
So sick.
And then I'll kind of march on in through the front doors.
Drop my notebook, pick it up, drop my pen, pick it up. Hurry after the others.
Hell yeah. It's one of those large revolving ones, and Hubert needs one just to himself as he makes his way inside. Next to go is...
I thought you meant Minnie's pen, like a revolving pen. That sounds awesome. What is it?
Yeah, it does sound
It's one of those clicky ones. It's got like 4 different colors and a pencil.
But instead of 4 of them, it revolves around.
You have to take
It's extremely high tech.
Have to take the pulp like technology feature that Sam took, but just for this incredible pen with like 89,000 colors.
I'm thinking of a Russian roulette variant where you have to sign an important document and you go and then go through and you end up with
Is it going to be ink? Is it going to be ballpoint? Is it going to be pencil? Is it going to be chalk? Who knows?
Pink gel pen.
Oh, yeah,
baby.
No, you get out your favorite like high quality whiteboard and then you
It's
go.
a purple sparkly gel pen.
Awesome. So Lieutenant Carter goes in, gun flared. Minnie drops a couple of books and grabs it. Hubert takes up the entire drawer, and just as Dr. Sam steps inside and the revolving door is about to close, Lancet swoops down, lands on his shoulder, and will enter into the Caduceus headquarters. Inside, it's a massive bank-style, like, open area with reception desks handling people coming and going, and a bank of elevators towards the rear. As you stride across and head towards one of the lifts to head up to a floor where you've held previous meetings, one of the receptionists will flag you down, recognizing probably Carter first, and say, Mr. Shapiro asked that I give you this key, and you're to use the elevator on the far left through that door. It'll take you up to floor 17.
Floor 17.
That's right.
Thank you, Miss Antwerp. It's nice to see you again.
Good to see you as well. Take that and walking... Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to turn around to the other and go, floor 17, this way.
You walk past the banks of lifts, and previously none of those even acknowledge a floor 17 as existing. Head back through a door and find an extra elevator with a pair of goons in front of it, but goons in nice uniforms, so they look like fancy goons.
Do I know these two?
You do not know these two. You have not gone up to this level previously, although you might have seen them in passing and you didn't quite know what their role was. No, you wouldn't be familiar with these particular goons. They don't make any moves to spot you. They nod but don't respond. And you head into the lift. The 4 of you step inside. As Hubert puts 1 foot on it, the whole thing down a little bit, and then the second set a little more tentative. It settles onto its gears, and one of the goons scratches at the back of his neck just a little bit. This lift has a completely different set of buttons. Most of them have been removed. There's just no button to push, except there is one for floor 7, one for floor 8. One for floor 17, 18, and one that runs down to the basement. And you notice that next to each, 7 and 8 are grouped together. Next to each other one, there is a requirement for a key to be turned before you can access that floor, and your key only fits 17. Put it in, click the button, and it begins to lurch upwards.
That is ingenious.
Compensating for the weight of the full party, and clearly very mechanically sound.
Full party and a bird.
And a bird.
And a hamster.
Is the hamster portable, Mr. Smith?
No, I think the hamster is going to stay home. That was literally what I was wondering about as I'm sitting here. I'm going through all the things about, would I be taking it on adventures? No, is that too many animals to be bringing on adventures? The hamster's going to stay home, but I will throw out a line as Hubert is standing in the elevator. He'll reach over and look towards
Has he taken
Lancet.
photos? Does he show us all the photos he's taken so far?
Wait till we get
Still in development.
Whoever has to sit with him there. Anyway, but I will reach over to look over to Lancet and see. You wouldn't need a hamster, would you? Would you?
Which hamster in particular?
No, never mind. Sorry. Okay, look back forward.
Light salivating for the bird.
Don't ask.
Now we
very
think about
gentle.
hamsters all day. It's bullshit. The doors open and you step out onto a large floor with a very sparse selection of offices. The entire main space is empty. So you sort of echo as you step out into it, and there is one small reception desk seated behind or in front of a large set of doors, all the way across the other side, with a woman seated in front of it who looks up at you and watches your approach, not giving you the sort of the politeness of pretending not to notice until you get a lot closer. She sees you coming and will watch you as you head across. Towards the side, there are another there's individual brown doors, just mundane offices. All of them appear to be locked, and they just have brass plates that just read 1, 2, 3, 4. There appears to be no one else on this level.
I mean, if we're sweeping in, I will rush in with my usual charming demeanor, head up and start, hello, we're here for a meeting. We've been called in. Thank you for escorting us up. Where should we go? Is it through here?
She bounces up. She has blonde hair knotted behind her and dressed in a very functional sort of pinstripe skirt and blazer number. She has a pair of glasses behind which you can see very cold grey eyes, but they're alive as she sees the four of you and comes around. They're quite excited as she comes around the corner, but yes, and will shake each of your hands and say, I'm Mrs. Parville. It's a pleasure to meet you all. I know you by reputation now, and I'm thrilled to welcome you into your next stage here at the Foundation. Dr. Taylor Thompson, Miss St. Clair, Mr. Smith, and Lieutenant Carter. Please, right through this way. She'll step forward and heave open the doors, and as you get through, you will now begin to see there are 2 sets of stairs which lead up to what looks like the next level. There are guards placed in front of these once more. Fancy goons. And then across the other side, there's a number of glass-doored offices, inside one of which you can see Quentin Shapiro wrapping up a conversation with a tall man about the height of Mr. Smith, although not as large. He's dressed in a cream-colored suit, but rather than looking neat, it looks more off, as if the milk had been left out a little long. Mm-hmm. He is completely bald, including eyebrows and any facial hair. And as you step up towards it, he finishes his conversation with Shapiro, doesn't shake his hand or anything, and just turns and begins to head towards the door and go past it. And as he does, as the door swings open and clicks back shut, it's as if the room got a little colder, as if the lights dimmed just a little bit as this man walks past the 4 of you, completely disregarding you and heading towards those stairs, straight past the goons and up towards the next level.
That sounds a little bit like the chap in the tuxedo, middle left, on the front cover of the Two-Headed Serpent book.
It might just be.
If we had to take a guess.
At again.
Are we right?
He heads straight up and towards the next level. This is not someone that you'd recognize. That is the same man. I had to look across at it. You have not seen this bloke around before. And also, Mrs. Parville does not move to introduce you. Seems to be quite... lets him go and just doesn't disturb whatsoever. Quentin holds the door open and says, thank you for making your way down. When the 4 of you come inside, thank you, Mrs. Parville. I can take it from here.
Dave, let's Hubert be, completely unhelpful with future investigations. I'm no great psychology guy, but, someone working in this kind of milieu, that suit's got to be pretty nice. Can I make a credit rating check? Where do you get the suit?
Yeah, sure.
All right, credit rating check coming up. That's a success.
It looks as though it's you run in. You are both tall enough that it's probably a custom number, and you get a look at like the inner lining. It might be actually with the success. Yeah, I think you recognize the cut of it as being one of your a tailor you've gone to. You have a number of tailors.
Enrico's Big and Tall Men.
Oh yeah. Enrico's Big and Tall Men, of course. That's where it must have been. It's where all big and tall men go to get their shopping done. You also spot that you trust Enrico's fashion sense more than you trust most people with, like he's amazing at it. You're not sure why he would have chosen this particular color, which you're a polite man. This seems it's not a great look on him. Might be something to bring up with Enrico next time.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Absolutely.
Good to know. Next time I'm in New York. Yeah.
It's a quite expensive suit though, so it's of a fine cut.
Gotcha.
Inside, you will see that there are 4 blue binders, like plastic covered, seated on the table. And as you come in, you all take seats, and Quentin paces a little bit in front of the door. And they look very similar to orientation packets that you were given when you first joined on with Caduceus, except these ones are noticeably thicker, and they still say on the front, Caduceus orientation briefing. As you come inside, Quentin will say, don't open those just yet. I want to discuss how everything resolved in Bolivia first. Get your sense of the situation and hear it firsthand from you, your own thoughts on how everything went down. Of course, it happened under terrible circumstances, and with Dr. Ursini passing, we never wanted you to be brought in this way, but understand we did want you to be brought in. So, please, I'll pass the floor to you.
Oh. Well, we got the artifact back. We sent it back to you.
What detail do you want exactly?
Well, you've retrieved the mummy, which you asked you for, also a number of curious artifacts that were found there, but your personal experiences there, the things you saw, how you've begun to grapple with this, understand the world as we thought it is bigger than we are born into. How have you handled everything? Do you wish to run screaming from the endeavor, or are you curious and driven to learn more?
My mother always said charity work builds character. I find mine has been significantly reinforced by these events. And, we came down to do charity work. I suppose it's not exactly building houses, but fighting snake monsters, they're not good for villages either.
Yeah, look, it seems to us we were doing the right thing, right? We were there to help people, and as long as you tell us that we're helping people, I mean, I think we can trust you. But it was a bit of a surprise that it wasn't until we got there that we were told we were stealing a mummy from an ancient temple. I think we'd feel a bit more at ease if we had more of that kind of information up front,
Yes, Dr. Taylor Thompson, and in future we will give you all the information we can up front. Understand there are security clearances and things that we can't tell you. This was intended to be a final exercise. You've proven yourselves to us before, and this was supposed to show that you had the capability. Additionally, we were short on time, and you were chosen at not the last minute, but at least the final hour. Dr. Orsini, who is a trusted member and long history of initiating folks, would have taken you through this a lot more, smoothly, made sure that you had the support necessary. And I can only apologize on behalf of myself and Mr. Meadham, the owner of the foundation, that this is how things unfurled. But I must say, you have my appreciation and respect, as well as his, in how things were handled. I expect in the not too distant future, we'll arrange a personal meeting so that he can offer his gratitude.
He wasn't the fellow in the white suit.
No, that's Canning. That's his personal guard and steward of sorts. We were just handling some minor affairs, nothing to concern yourselves about. You'll likely not be dealing with him too much beyond, not in the day-to-day. Lieutenant Carter, Miss St. Clair, your own thoughts?
That's all very interesting. A little bit frightening. There's nothing wrong with getting the blood up occasionally. Coping quite well, thank you very much.
I'm glad to hear it. You're right. It's frightening. Shames me to say I did not handle my first experience quite so well as the four of you. It took me 3 months before I wished to leave home, and even then it was well armed. I'm only just now beginning to return to the field and bring myself back into it. But it's just as you say, where we are scared, imagine how the less trained, less suitable would find these things. And I fear it's why Caduceus puts this together, that we can be that the first line of offense or defense.
Time moves quicker in the modern day, you know, this era in New York, everything now, and yes, like you said, we're here.
Yes, that's exactly right. Lieutenant Carter, your report?
My report is that we entered a hostile environment, took care of enemy combatants, located the artifact in question, extracted it from that location, returned all intact. I'd say we did a rather good job, don't you?
I'd say you did a tremendous job, Lieutenant Carter. Any concerns about the nature of your assignment?
Are you paying me?
Yes, handsomely.
Then no, I have no concerns.
Then I...
You get what you pay for.
I assume that there will be brand new, unexpected, never before seen, possibly terrifying, but definitely unusual things and artifacts and books and places and people. So I'm in.
Oh, Miss St. Clair, I can assure you that there will be every one of those. Well, with that said, it is my humble privilege and honor to welcome the four of you into the true inner circle of the Caduceus Foundation. We are not the charity operation we so cunningly present ourselves to the world to be. We are, in fact, a world's global spanning organization that seeks out the otherworldly, the esoteric, the occult, and the evil in nature, and we oppose it where we can find it. We put wrongs to rights, and we help to protect those that would not look beyond the light and into the horrors of the skies above. The four of you are our newest initiates, and unfortunately there's a task coming up quite soon that you'll need to be briefed upon. But listen, before your folders, they summarize the organization as it presents itself and as it truly is. I would ask that you take the time to read it. Pass it over, talk amongst the four of yourselves, and when we speak again this evening, make your decision officially, individually, and without burden of promise to one another or to me. Think about this. Take the time. There's refreshments, bathroom down the corridor. Unfortunately, we will not, you cannot take these packets outside of the facility, but discuss it amongst yourselves. If you have any questions, Mrs. Parville can get in contact with myself or anyone else necessary. I will be your primary coordinator. But yes, and then if you still agree to continue on, we'll talk more this evening. All things considered, we may be on a plane sometime tomorrow.
Oh, very good.
Excellent.
I'll have to send word back to my mother to take care of my hamster.
What?
It's not a euphemism, it's literal. Anyway, let's get to the book.
You had a rope. Never mind.
Yes.
Mr. Shapiro.
Yes.
It is Mr. Shapiro. I assume the title doesn't change unless the organization has.
No. That's quite all right.
Very good. You seem nervous.
Not nervous, I'm afraid. Just sweating. I've always had the condition. I developed it following the strange encounters, and I'm afraid it's always been with me. I also keep another token, and he holds a shaking hand up. I'm not as suited to field work. That's why operatives such as your caliber are most respected and desired. I prefer to coordinate from afar.
Well, let's hope your coordination of us goes better than the coordination of Dr. Asimi. And then I'll pick up the folder and
Can you make a psychology roll for me?
No.
That devastating.
It's fair. Oh, he clearly is devastated by the remark. Oh, it definitely.
It's close, but no.
Okay.
Carter is good at saying things, not reading the reaction. They usually the reaction is physical, and they can just see it.
Oh yeah. Oh, sorry. You very physically see him deflate at that, and he is clearly cut to fucking pieces. That was a person under his responsibility, or that he was helping to coordinate, and also a trusted friend. So he will say sort of like, yes. And I assure you, you have all of our resources behind you. We will make sure that does not happen to yourselves or hopefully ever again. I'll leave you to your packets. If you have any questions, please get in contact. And he heads outside. You see him taking he heads outside, deflates a bit, big breath, and out the door and away.
Goodness, he is quite highly strung, isn't he?
Well, if he's seen half of what we have, I can't say I'm surprised. But he does need to know who he's dealing with.
Yes.
And he does need to know the worth of what he has in front of him.
Lieutenant Carter, do you mind if I ask you a very quick question about you mentioned during the conversation
Yes.
payment. I'm not one to sort of pinch over pennies, but how much are you paying them to go on these adventures? Because if I can get a cheaper rate.
Are you talking to me? Sorry, I thought you were talking to Lieutenant Carter.
I am.
No, I think I understand
Okay.
what's happening in this conversation. Carter just looks like for a second there is a look of what, and then no, Mr. Smith, I am employed by Caduceus.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm employed to keep your ass safe.
Right. Well,
Given
People
that
have jobs, Hubert.
Sorry. This is a them paying us kind of situation, not the reverse. So that's fantastic.
I mean, I assume if you
Yes.
are paying an outlier to join expeditions, it's because they put you with people like me.
I see. Yes. All right. Well, let's go through these documents then.
Yes,
Is
that's
that what's happening?
yeah. I think we established that like Hubert,
Is
like
Hubert
the
a
only
tourist?
reason. Yeah, Hubert's a tourist.
It's so involved.
Wonderful.
Hubert is like a proper wealthy. I'm going to tour charity because that's it's very.
Oh, he was, but he's proved himself now by fighting a snake 1v1. So
Hey,
maybe-
yeah.
Hell yeah.
You rode like fantastic on a donkey, so you know.
Yeah, it was sick as
Yes.
hell. All right, you all seat yourselves around the table, which is like comically too large. It's one of those glass-topped ones. It goes all the way down the thing and could fit about 18 people. The packets
Was
have
there
been
a
placed.
desk in here that Shapiro was sitting at?
No, he was just sitting. He was staying at the table. This is called like
okay.
a conference room. This is where like have meetings and things. There's no whiteboards or anything. It's very modern. So there's this wide glass table with the packets placed so that you would all be like 3 seats apart from one another and kind of awkward or space for privacy. And as you flip each one over, you will at first recognize the early pages. I'm going to share a handout with you, or it's
Ooh.
not like a pretty looking one. It's just
Ooh.
text, but
Love a
it
handout.
gives some summary. So this is the orientation package that you first were provided with. It has an outline of the Caduceus Foundation, naming that, notably that it was founded in 1912 by one Joshua Meadham, who sold his pharmaceutical empire that he had built up. And with the proceeds, he founded the foundation and then went across the globe to help people, doing good guy shit. That was what initially attracted each of the four of you in, and what you have read previously. That takes up about this much of the document. Actually, there's articles about this much of the document. There's yay much remaining. And so you're flipping through this, wondering where it's going. James?
I'm going to keep using credit rating with every chance that I get. Pharmaceutical empire. This sounds like somebody who has, is within the upper class. Do I know this person? Do I know this name?
Oh yeah. You're rich enough and a large enough patron. You possibly met with. You probably didn't meet with Joshua. You met with his daughter Rose, who is the face of a lot of the like day-to-day things. And if you give to the foundation, which you might have for some time before joining its crack team of operatives, you know them to be enormously wealthy. Also, that Joshua had a bit of a, he was a bit of a scheming businessman guy who, turned, this is his giving back to the world a bit. This is him trying to, I've got all this money and now I'm going to turn
that is
turn
very
it to
good
task.
to know. Okay.
Then there is the second portion of the packet, which I am now passing along. This is all about Serpent people and how we oppose them. It talks about how they appear to be native to Earth, having ruled empires that faded into history. There's a number of religious schisms inside them, and something that worships something called Yig, the father of serpents. It talks about another entity known as Sathagwa, an evil toad-like monstrosity that revels in vile acts and atrocities. And then there is a latter fact, and it refers to the faction that refers to themselves as representing. I butchered the hell out of that. The faction that
the bad guys are the ones that murdered the nurse.
Yes, got it. Worships is the word I was looking for. Sathagwa referred to themselves as the Inner Knight, which is that same one that you encountered previously. As you begin to thumb through this, it is heavy. And what are your reactions to it? It goes on beyond that as well. Is it sort of like, okay, I'm throwing myself into this and this is super exciting and I love to hear it? Or is it like, okay, I got it. We fight bad guys. I don't need to know the specifics of the ghost we're dealing with.
I want to know all the specifics of all the ghosts.
Okay.
I am very enthusiastic about all of these things.
Excellent. You start the binder snaps open, so you can begin to put pages in relevant sections,
yes, I'm
organize
rearranging it. I'm taking notes.
Perfect.
I treat this like a military briefing. So I will read it in full. I will get an understanding of the combatants on the field, of their relationships with one another, and get as good an understanding of what's going on as possible on the off chance that I need to use this for tactical advantage in the future.
Hell yeah. Hubert, Dr. Sam?
Alarmed and concerned. I think Dr. Sam's just so empathetic, this kind of shakes him a bit.
Yeah.
I'm treating this like a scary movie. You go to like the really loud kind of kind of moments that are disturbing everybody. But Hubert kind of loves it. He's terrified. He's reading. It's so exciting.
Hell yeah. I do ask on Dr. Sam, what is it about it that bites at you? Is there the notion that there's these things out here doing horrible things, or is it that could humanity do this? Could you even conceive of such horrors?
I mean, I'm trying to figure it out. Yeah, it's like I think going through the war gave Sam the impression that when there are bad people, they announce themselves and they make a big show of it, and then you can face them, you can look at them, and you can march around and shoot them in the face if it comes to it. And he's kind of rattled that there is such evil in the world that is completely invisible to most people.
Fuck yeah.
Sam has a lot more faith in humanity than Carter does.
I am definitely going to study this.
Yeah. Hell yeah. All right, so
flip through and towards the end there will be the translation notes, and I'll just be like, Miss Sinclair.
Yes, I found those. Aren't they fascinating? She just went straight to the back. Blasted through the whole dossier in half the time and went straight to the back and is now making her own translation notes. Although I'm not entirely confident in the usage of the way they're using adverbs in the translation. I don't necessarily think that. No, it's probably not important.
You also
you don't think that they're grammatical translations, more of a transliteration than a translation, Miss Sinclair?
Oh yes, I think they're being maybe a little bit too literal. You know, there's translation requires context, not just text.
Well, it sounds like if we're very lucky, we'll be getting all the context you need.
Yes.
You sort of all throw yourselves into this document in varying levels of terror and interest and excitement, or just sheer practical knowledge. It continues on. It speaks of these two sides, the worshippers of Yig, and how they hide from humanity deep below the ground in supposed subterranean cities. They seem to fear humanity because of just the overwhelming numbers, and that should humans become aware of them, the battle could easily go against them. Whereas the Inner Night, which are these same ones that once attacked Joshua Meadham and were the reason why he turned his sights towards the mythos and to work against it, are working towards some sort of plan that actively opposes the human race and could lead to their destruction. The details are not completely understood, but it is imperative that we learn them ASAP. There are efforts all across the globe by the Inner Night, and time is closing down. There's then a bunch of supporting documents and bits and pieces that you can study through, and as the day draws on, you take occasional breaks or to sit there fervently writing. All of you are going to lose 1d4 of sanity. You are all going to gain 5 points of Cthulhu Mythos. And that's the end of the sentence. I just phrased it weirdly.
Oh, very good.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that tracks.
Hey.
Oh, wow. Well
Oh,
done.
my God.
Okay, we got the gambit. Oh, there is one other thing. Sorry. Oh, no, it's if you study for a day. It's up to you guys. There is also, you can
I
gain
will.
10 points in Narcal, which I presume Minnie will
I
absolutely
will.
take. Minnie, as you go through this, you will recognize that you've seen these symbols before in one location 3 times. Narcal was used on A. You found a map in the captain's pocket which had annotations written on it. You realize now that was probably written in Narcal. B. There were a number of scrolls alongside the mummy that had been handed over. Those were also written in Narcal. Thirdly, the hieroglyphics inside the temple itself. Narcal. So this language could give you quite a lot of insight into how
We have a rubbing from at least one of the capstones. Is that also in Narcal, or was that in?
Yes, because that would be the same as it's sort of like
Good.
swirling
Well then.
bullshit stuff.
Extra context.
Yeah, absolutely.
If there's time, I think Dr. Sam would probably brush up on Narcal as well.
Yeah, let's take it.
Just because he wants to understand these people. He wants
I would-
to get to know them.
Absolutely.
I would like to spend the day on this, but I don't care so much about the language section. Is there a corkboard or similar in this conference room?
You can ask Mrs. Parville to bring you in one.
Delightful. Corkboard, chalkboard, probably chalkboard if they have one.
Yep.
And I'm going to red string this shit,
Yeah, hell yeah.
Ooh.
as I am good at my job. I'm going to start looking at it from a tactical perspective based on everything that we currently already know, and try and get an idea of what might be going on. Maybe give ourselves some kind of advantage for future encounters.
Sick as.
And I think at some point we'll turn probably to Miss Sinclair and say, you don't suppose that mummy was Yig, do you?
Oh, probably not a Yig itself. A high priestess, maybe. This Yig entity does appear to be, well, an entity significantly larger in scope, if not scale, than what we found. I suspect we're looking at a high priest of some description.
Well, currently the followers of Yig don't seem to be too concerned about humanity, but I do suspect that if we have one of theirs in a room somewhere, they might start to get a little antsy. So perhaps it might be worth having a conversation with Caduceus, in suggesting that as a show of good faith, should we find the followers of Yig, we return to them their property, and maybe we'll get ourselves a, wouldn't go far as to say ally, but at least someone
Truce.
who doesn't, I mean, it already looks like we have an uneasy truce with them, but perhaps more of an official one. I don't think we want to be fighting these on both sides, nor do I think we want the inner night.
No.
I don't know why the dark side is a phrase that's popped into my head, but whatever. The inner night, we probably don't want them to be getting the upper hand at this stage. And then I'll turn back and continue to like link things together as all of that has started to like coalesce on the chalkboard.
Love it.
There's one other option. We could go to a crematorium and put the mummy in there and burn it to bits.
Well, I'm not sure they would appreciate that.
And no point in
They'd be
upsetting
on fire, so they would not appreciate it for long.
Oh, no,
No, but the followers.
Mr.
What
Smith,
mummy? All I have is a bag of ash. I don't know what you're talking about.
I think the idea here is that if we're going up against a global organization of snake people, the more allies we have, the better. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. If we make ourselves enemies of the followers of Yig, they might just decide to fall in with the inner night.
I don't know. They're all snake people, right? I'm no military tactician.
Evidently not.
Lieutenant, I read somewhere that a war on two fronts that she killed twice as many people.
No, a war on two fronts gets twice as many of your people killed.
Yes, isn't that like a pincer movement or something? I think that's a whole thing, whereas you don't want to be in that position between...
No, you're like opening a pincer, you know?
If you would like to
I'm going
get
to go
more
back to
people
the
killed...
language.
Yeah, he just turns around and starts going back to
The less
drawing
supplies
and-
you have, the less you need to carry.
Well, I thought it was a good idea, and I'm gonna get out my notebook and I'll write up opening pincer maneuver and start to work out my war on two fronts against
Mr. Smith, would you like a grounding in military tactics?
I you know what? That's probably a good place to start.
Very good. Then come here. And I will start like walking you through some of the basic stuff that I've started to put together as a way to try and encourage Mr. Smith to see things in a more analytical way, and also so that he just leaves Miss Sinclair alone to do her stuff, and just kind of keep him occupied. Because at this
Very
stage,
good idea.
and try and make him feel included. Because if he feels included, he won't go off and do dumb shit on his own.
I feel very included.
Good.
Love
You know,
it.
you're quite good at this, Mr. Smith. I'm impressed.
So Lieutenant Carter and Hubert are sort of going over the strategy of it. Subsystem as Minnie's really diving into the doco.
Language.
Dr. Sam, you mentioned getting the language and
Yeah, I'll rush up. But also, like, how did we learn the language? And particularly, has there been peaceful contact between any Serpent people? That's what I'm really interested in.
Oh, yeah, hell yeah.
Sam's really interested in.
yeah,
Has there been
100%.
dialogue?
Can I get... it's going to be Cthulhu Mythos rolls, and you can use the document as a 10 percentile one, so you can roll against that if it's lower, if it's higher than your Mythos score as you begin to study through it.
Say
Did
it
we?
again. What do we roll?
The document has a Mythos rating of 10. So that means that you can use it while you're referring to it. You can use it as basically like having a 10% in Cthulhu Mythos relating to lizard guys and the Foundation's involvement in them. I'll give you some information regardless. We might be able to find some more detailed stuff. So out of the gate, you can see at the least they appear to they are aware of it, and it appears that the worshippers of Yig more avoid rather than aid. There is no examples given of like exchanges of technology or anything, but there's also no listed encounters, hostile encounters with any of the worshippers of Yig. So
Just checking, did we get any Cthulhu Mythos from the last we did? Because No, not from this.
Ooh,
Because
that's
I
true.
had a point already, and I'm not sure whether that was an error on the sheet.
No,
or
you
not.
would have gotten at least one. So the first time you take a sanity hit and see
Got
a
it.
goblin. Actually, no, that's from hitting it. I think that's only if you hit a bout, and one of you got a bout. Or did no one get a bout?
I had 2 points of Cthulhu Mythos.
Okay, yeah. So we obviously got.
You
Maybe we
definitely
got some at the end of the chapter.
You got a bit and a bot, for different things that
Easy
happened. You definitely when you first get a bout, you get like a goblin. I now understand it a little bit more. Something to look forward to then if no one hit that. Yeah. So Sam's going through that, poring over it, trying to see, what the sides are and if there's been peaceful contact. Sam, you will get the impression that there may be an opportunity.
Just to be clear, I meant like between humans and any snake people, not between the two.
Yes. No, I got you.
Yes, good.
It appears not listed, no. It appears that the Yigsin would just be more like avoiding and happy to like chill out in their nests. That said, you might begin to see an opportunity for that. If these could be contacted on positive means, then they would be able to give you leagues more insight into how the inner night function.
That is Sam's immediately angle for the rest of this campaign.
Love that.
Lock that in.
Awesome. You can also take the 10 points in Narcal.
Done.
Minnie, is there anything particular you're looking into as you go through this?
I really think that she's just studying the language as much as possible, but from more of a cultural point of view, getting more of an idea of what the language in particular and the way it's constructed says about the people and how to kind of better use the language to understand where they are culturally. So it's really just focusing on the language. And if anything, I'd want more just straight up language points.
Yep, that's
Like,
exactly
do they
what I was going to offer.
Do they have several words for blood, for example,
and
and variants, or are they like, we have 17 words for snow, kind of people?
It's all words for
how do they
hamster.
construct their sentences? What does that say about how they might communicate? And
This must be a mistranslation. This seems to suggest hamsters are the only thing they consume. It's sort of delicacy.
Every time I get an opportunity, I'm asking like how you say very inappropriate things, not like rude words, but like how would you order a Manhattan in Narcal?
How do you ask for the bill in Narcal?
Yeah.
Like your standard tourist stuff.
How do you say sorry in Narcal? There's no word for that.
Is asking for the bill the same as like, how does one offer one soul, please and thank you?
you know what? Funnily enough, it just says based on the construction, I believe it would be give me my food or I'll eat you.
Bring forth the
So we're dealing with-
I
sacrifice.
don't think they pay for. I don't think they pay for food. It's either you give it to them for free or they eat you.
So they'll get their food either way. Is what I'm saying.
Precisely.
That's a mispronunciation. It's actually precisely Narcal.
Narcal is not that hard.
Right.
Minnie, can you give me an education roll, please?
Ooh.
That gave me solid Dory from Finding Nemo speaking in whale vibes.
Minnie, go ahead and add, let's do a D... fucking 10.
10,
Yeah,
20.
hit it. Do a D10.
Nice.
And let's hope it's not a 1. Hey, not bad.
Lucky
Respectable.
7.
Nice, that's good.
17. That's the floor we're on. Oh, it's all connected.
It's all coming together.
Do you want to add it to my chalkboard of red?
17.
Just a number 17 circles.
17. What does it mean?
If the doctor gets to add that to the chalkboard, I get to add the reverse pincer maneuver.
It's my turn with the chalk.
Only fair.
Sorry, the regular pincer maneuver. Whatever you do is a reverse pincer maneuver.
Lieutenant Carter, do you want to give me it would probably also be a Cthulhu Mythos roll, rolling under 10, and do you want to go and take a bonus dice from Mr. Smith's assistance?
But what is this for, sorry?
Strategizing.
Oh, I was
Do you
hoping
have-
for an idea roll, but very good.
Do you have, well,
Okay.
this is more like understanding their fucking
That's
bullshit.
fine.
Do you have a specific angle that you're going for like gleaning insight? Is this like, this mentions a number of locations throughout the world. If I can begin to plot the passage of...
No, this is not geographical tactics. This is, I mean, for want of a better term,
military
psychological tactics, although
Yeah.
it's not the psychology of individuals that I care too much about, which is why I don't have any psychology. It's the, like, psychology of, like,
Lizards.
the military, of group mentality, of... it's politics is what it is.
Yeah, hell yeah. Okay.
I do not
brainstorming
have
what-
politics, but that's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, no, I get you.
Brainstorming what tactics they might use or what tactics we might use.
Both, and to an
Nice.
extent. I'm just gonna check to see if I have anything useful. No, I don't think I have any like history or anything like that. No. So I think Cthulhu Mythos is likely to be the most appropriate, I suspect.
Yep.
All right, let's go Cthulhu Mythos. Rolling at a 10.
Yep, and you got a bonus.
Ooh, you can have a point of
Great.
luck.
See if you roll bonus see if you
Wow.
get a crit.
Oh, bonus, right? Yeah. No, but you
Okay.
may have a point of luck for that to be a
Take it.
success at
Thank
least.
you. You can't take Cthulhu Mythos, unfortunately, but you can this will absolutely get you insight. So, you begin to get a
Can't take it
sense.
if I use luck anyway.
Yes, true. You begin to get a sense for the capabilities of your foes. For one, they all seem to be possessed of large, nasty fangs that will poison the shit out of you.
I'd
They
worked
also
that one out.
They also seem to favor a sort of that cool portable boomerang thing that you saw, which also lets them do the same, but they can also huck it. The stabbing of it's less necessary because they can just bite you. They are possessed of the means to resist damage. They have a small level of armor, but not significant, just enough to sort of redirect blows. And in general, they are more capable than humans. Pretty much, they have they have the edge across the board, although they miss it out in numbers. Beyond that, there is mention of them having some means of magic and the ability to cast spells, although it varies from between individuals and not fully understood within this document. That's kind of beyond its scope for the time being. And finally, they are cold-blooded. They are lizards at the end of the day. They, lounge in the sun, I presume, and things like that, or they lurk underground and in the cold, and they could possibly be identified as such.
Oh, as in like using technology that can find heat
Presumably, if you could
related signatures.
if you
Or
can't
does
always
that
do it, yeah.
genuinely mean that they don't really go cold places? Is that if like
Presumably,
genuinely?
or they
none
might,
of them,
or they just do it very slowly. Yeah, or they,
I mean,
or
that
they,
is-
they seem to display some knack for technology. They have things beyond us. They may have invented, personalized space heaters.
I
Years
guess
before their invention.
we die in the cold and we
Yeah.
still made it to
That's it.
cold
Clothing is a
places,
thing.
so-
But I mean, I don't know the capacity of cryogenic weapons in the 1930s, but something along that line,
Yeah,
those
fuck
lines
yeah,
might.
sweet as.
Whether that is something that, say, the R&D team of Caduceus could be
Which there absolutely is.
encouraged to focus on.
Otherwise,
Something.
we just I don't know, we could get like a bag, genuinely just like ice. I don't know. That's a terrible idea.
Bags of
Ignore me.
ice.
I'm still learning.
Do the servo
tactics.
run and get 2 of those waves.
No,
Or just
I'm
fill
built-
a shotgun full of shards of ice and then just watch them melt as
Rather
you
than
shoot
just
it.
using, bullets.
I'm build 2. I'm gonna get 4 bags of ice and attach 2 of them with like a chain and use them as nunchucks.
So sick. Hell yeah.
Amazing.
Or just like a fan. Just wave a fan. See if you cool them down.
I think it needs to be cold. But yes, that is
If you
helpful.
locked them in like a
to
freezer or something,
know.
we'd probably slow down pretty quick.
Or we like if it gets really cold, like if we're out and there's a storm or something or a blizzard, we use that as our moment to do stuff to
yeah.
like take that as cover, an opportunity.
It's also then likely based on that knowledge, and this is also, I guess, not so much like, as I said, geographical location specifically, but if they're all cold-blooded, one assumes that they're all sort of in the same area and are likely to be found in warmer climates than colder ones, one would suspect.
That's true.
So, do I get any more insight past what we've already got on the relationship between the Inner Knight and the followers of Yig?
They seem to fucking hate one another and they're looking to stab at the shit.
There.
They're basically zealots on 2 sides of.
Oh, okay, so they're both. There's a level of zealotry on both sides.
I mean, they worship some weird giant snake thing. We'd probably come across
That'll do
it. It'd be guess up to
Yeah,
Carter.
plenty of people worship weird shit.
Yeah, generally it's
Most
probably
of humanity worships an invisible person in the sky.
Yeah.
different teams. Yeah, I guess that's true. They seem to very much be opposed and very much defined by their worship on each side.
Okay.
There seems to be little room for compromise between the two. Although this is all an outsider's perspective on their supposed war.
Essentially,
Much
what
more
I'm
insight
looking
probably
at.
gleaned from talking to a lizard man.
Yeah, more what I'm looking at in this sense is my initial understanding of the idea that they do not like each other, like, and therefore are likely to be on opposing sides versus like, oh, we're on opposite sides religiously, but like we're still the same group of people, so we will come together to like fuck over another race of people or species.
Possibly. They've never really been approached. It seems the Yig team is kind of like dormant, so maybe we just don't mess with them too much. Might be the other, why risk it? But or you go Dr. Sam's route, which is like maybe there's a potential ally there. I do love it's a classic, but we're all humans, but for them we're all snake guys. At the end of the day, we love chomping mice. Mm-hmm. We love just doing snake shit, lounging under lampshades.
Oh, and
we gotta
you
remember
mentioned
things that keep us
do
in
they
common.
have natural poison?
Yeah, they do.
Natural venom.
Yes.
And is there? We had those vials of poison, or like. Essentially, are we going to be able to formulate any kind of anti-venom against what they have based on what we found? For a sort of defense purpose, or even a like, you get bit by something, someone stabs a massive syringe full of anti-venom in you, it hurts like a bitch, but it stops you dying.
There is an R&D department at Caduceus. It's headed up by a bloke called, what is his name? Phil Connors. Who is looking into a bunch of cool shit. It's probably on the cards. It's something they're looking into. They would, if you could bring it, when in doubt, if you can give them direction and provide samples or anything that would give them the jump on that, they can probably get further ahead. Otherwise, they'll kind of like keep trundling along, making cool shit.
Well, then getting anti-venom is absolutely a higher priority, and cryogenic weaponry is the second one.
Mm-hmm.
Sick. Awesome.
I'd love to ask one last question just about snakes, based on the sort of cold-blooded information.
Yeah.
I know.
No, it's just a funny concept to me.
One more question about snakes.
Quick cue. Yeah.
Do we think this is real dumb. We know we're kind of like working on the idea that they get bad in the cold. 2 questions. Does that mean they get turbo in hot weather? You have to, like, if it's a real scorcher outside, do they all get a power boost? And secondly, snakes go to bed at night, right? That's like a big, like, they can't go out at night. It's like a massive thing. Are we like safer at night?
You've seen evidence of one came and stabbed the shit out of that nurse and then threatened Minnie at night. That said, maybe that's why they were acting under subterfuge, because they were trying to avoid it.
And it was really hot in the jungles of South America. So maybe only on a hot day can they go out at night.
Well, but also, like, I imagine the jungle is still quite warm at night. Like the desert
I
gets
do think,
cold
like,
at night.
my general knowledge about snakes, which I'm going to have to really refresh. I'm pretty sure, like, unless it is a cold environment, snakes are perfectly capable of moving around at night, as long as, like, it's a body heat thing. It's not a, like, the environment will eventually change. Like, if the night gets cold, they will too, but if it's warm during the day and it's warmish at night, like, they're still going to be able to move around. You can't find evidence, Hubert, about a power bump they get when the sun is at its highest, but I'm writing it in my journal. Don't look in that.
Because a hot weather power bump could really mess up the reverse pincer. So, I'm doing my
part. For
part.
everything.
I just feel bad. This entire session has been us explaining to Herbert why all of his ideas are wrong.
Herbert's definitely better in the moment.
This entire session has been you all convincing Herbert that he's right, because every time you say no, he goes, yes. More yes.
The sun rises and falls behind the glass walls, didn't mean that to rhyme, and you continue your study, jotting down notes and speaking amongst yourselves. By the time Quentin's coming back to give you the briefing and to basically get your okay to continue, the whole day is gone, and you've had plenty of time to talk amongst yourselves. What is anyone like not here when Quentin gets back? Or is anyone alternatively stuffing pieces of the manual down their trousers so they can smuggle them out or anything like that?
I feel like Minnie has relocated to the floor and has just spread shit out all around her and is just like a pen is stuck in her hair, one in her mouth, taking notes, and is just spread out on the floor.
Yeah, hell yeah. Yep.
With a cup of tea. I assume there's tea and coffee.
Yeah, absolutely.
Carter has divested themselves of their jacket. It's like slung over the back of one of the chairs, and they are like moving between going up and adding notes to this like ridiculous kind of mind map, and to some extent started like geographical map. Bits and pieces have been like stuck up on this chalkboard, and then they'll like take a few steps back, kind of like, you know, narrow their eyes and look at everything and like just kind of let it all sink in. And then as something else clicks, they'll go in and add another note to it. So it's a constant like narrow in, zoom out, just to sort of keep all of the plates spinning.
Hell yes. Dr. Sam?
I think most Dr. Sam's work is internal. I think he's just gazing into the book while fitting everything he's learning into his own kind of set of ethics and principles and rearranging things in that way.
Yeah, I really like this. So a lot of time like seated staring through it or looking out the window or musing. How does Lancet handle a day inside? Or does it...
He'd probably take flight. He'd probably jump out the window at some point. Yeah.
Return when
come back
needed.
when something interesting happens.
Yeah, perfect. Lastly, Hubert.
I think Hubert's taken off his jacket, folded it up. He's wearing a nice kind of cream sweater.
Ooh, cream.
And he's pacing up and down, sort of thinking over everything, going over it, and we'll turn to face Shapiro when he comes in.
Okay. When Quentin comes back, he has a couple of documents underneath, like more folders underneath one arm, and on the other side, a clipboard with like individual sheets of paper. As he comes in through, he takes in the spread of information, and he says, "Well, I see you got into the documents. I'm glad you're taking things seriously. This is not an easy decision to make, and it's a lot we're asking for you. Although I also think it's an opportunity, is how I like to think of it. I speak to each of you individually so that you have the opportunity to.
Yes, I'm in. I'm in.
Very, very, very good, Miss St. Clair. In that case, I have some information for you to sign, and if you could. Jot that down. Mr. Smith, Lieutenant Carter, Dr. Sam, can I talk to any of you one at a time, or it's probably best to handle that. Mr. Smith, if you why don't you step outside for the moment, and we'll just talk in confidence.
Okay.
Leads you out and towards the side and says, well, Hubert, this is more than you signed up for. This is more than we told you at the beginning, but you handled yourself incredibly in the field, and we think you'd be a tremendous asset. I'd love to work with you further.
I've fallen into a lot of things in my life, and I've come to realize that when I fall into them, I think I'm meant to. This is the first thing I've displayed a real talent for, and I'm not anxious to leave now.
I couldn't agree more. He holds out a hand to you. He says, "Welcome aboard, Mr. Smith." And he shakes it, and then returns to the room. Up.
Just while Hubert and Shapiro are out of the room, no shade on good old Hubert, but I don't want to worry him unnecessarily, and I would like to turn to the other two while they are doing their respective things, and just say, I don't know if the other two of you have noticed someone keeping tabs on your whereabouts, but if you have, or perhaps if you haven't, just keep an eye out. I don't want to worry Hubert or worry Mr. Smith more than necessary, and I do have a distinct feeling that if I told him to keep an eye out for someone, he would make it very obvious that he was doing that. But have either of you felt like you were being watched?
No, but honestly, I can get quite caught up in my work, and if I'm not actually looking, when I'm looking for something, I'm very good at finding it. But I do get quite caught up in my work when I'm in the midst of it. So no, I have not. Doesn't mean it's not there though.
Can't say I've noticed anything, but well, I'd be inclined to trust your instincts.
Yes, well, whoever it is, they really don't want to get on my bad side.
Agreed.
My bad side. Especially given my bad side tends to be the one with the knife. Very good. Well, if you wouldn't mind keeping an eye, I'd rather we didn't get sprung.
Quite.
The door opens and Mrs. Smith steps back inside, and Quentin, holding the door open, says, Lieutenant Carter, just for a moment.
Of course.
Holds it open so you can both walk outside, and then stands and looks at you and says, Lieutenant Carter, we actively sought you out because of your leadership potential. We had you bookmarked for this operation and this kind of leadership role from the beginning. If you're interested, it's yours. If you're not, we still have mundane operations we'd love to keep you involved in.
One question before I give my answer. Have you been following me? Or have you been having me followed?
Have we been following you? No, of course not. Have we reason to?
I don't believe so. That's why I was asking.
No, but Lieutenant, if you're being followed, that could mean there are folks already aware of your involvement with Caduceus. I trust you to keep careful, and if there's anything we can do to assist you in that, you just let me know. Regardless of your involvement in this operation, we need to keep you safe. And when you're at home, you should be safe.
I appreciate that. I am well and truly capable of keeping myself safe, but having additional support is never unappreciated. I don't know that someone is following me. It's just call it instinct. That something's a little off. But regardless, in times of scarcity, it is human nature to acquire. Where there is acquisition, there's combat. Where there's combat, you need people who know how to fight. I get the distinct impression you are lacking in people who know how to fight, Mr. Shapiro.
And what we have, we can always use more.
Then I would be glad to assist.
Thank you, Lieutenant Carter. And he shakes your hand. And before he lets it go, he says, Dr. Orsini knew the risks when he joined. It was unfortunate what happened to him, and God knows it may happen again. What we do is dangerous work. Trust me to support you, and let your team trust you to support them.
I apologize, Mr. Shapiro, for the jibe earlier. It was, as you can tell, I've got things on my mind.
No
But
need.
I do trust in the institution. That's why I keep working for you. And I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you, Lieutenant Carter. Let's do what we can to keep the rest safe then.
I have every intention of doing so.
And he lets your
Shake
hand
his
go,
hand.
and you both step back inside. Once more, he holds the door open. Has there been any scheming conversations? It's like, all right, now that Lieutenant Carter's gone, everyone circle up. Who's been following them? We've been doing that, right? You guys have all been taking turns to watch them?
Carter would know if we said anything while they're out of the room. Just instantly.
I have an extremely good listen skill.
If anyone mentions any ideas, we're not allowed to talk yet. Wait.
Shut up.
No, don't move that.
No. Shapiro will point to Dr. Sam. Sam, if you have a moment. He'll walk you outside and you say, you're quieter than the others, and you have a kind soul, is what we've heard from those that have worked with you, those that you have supported over the years. You're a good doctor, and this foundation, even before it opposes any Serpent race, can use doctors. Dr. Sam, I we'll appreciate you however you want to give your time.
Yeah. Document you gave us went into a lot of detail, but I guess what I'd still like to understand is the philosophy of the Foundation, because I hate to get too academic about it, but I'm out here rearranging the ethics. I joined the war because I thought that me being there would lead to less people dying, and when I see these snake people, I think I can still see them as people. So I'm only going to join if it still leads to less people dying, and I certainly don't want to join a war that's being fought against people because of how they're born and how they look.
Sam, I can't speak for all of them. I won't speak for all of them, and everything we do should and be handled on a case-by-case basis. We deal with the information we're handled, and that's why we have teams. That's why you should be on this team, so that you can be level-headed. You can look at this as a human and maybe try and see where they're coming from. There are those that seem to be dormant or unwilling to interfere with human operations, or at least not seek mass extinction of human life. I can live with that. I can't live with the others. I don't like to get into it. It's hard to think about, but when I was brought into the Foundation, when I was given an opportunity to work closer with this phase of things, it went wrong. It went very, very wrong. I lost everyone else that was with me, and it wasn't kind. What they did to them was wholly, not just inhuman, it was lacking any semblance of conscience, morality. It was ritual, and they gave over good men and women to something ancient and unfeeling that would never value them. Their souls are burned, and I don't think they got anything in return. And if they did, it's nothing I'd want part of. And I want to stop that. I don't want that to happen again, and if you'd help me, I'd appreciate it.
Understand. I'm just saying that there are people who said the similar thing about the Jerrys. And we were all surprised when the guns fell silent on Christmas Day. So they can surprise you.
You keep an ear out. You look for the surprises and you let us know. And if we get the opportunity to do this peacefully, I can't promise it'll be easy, but I promise you'll be heard. And we'll do what we can. You and me.
Sounds good.
All right. He holds out his hand to you. He shakes it. This time, Dr. Sam comes back in for a loan at first, and Shapiro seems to be getting himself centered. He seems a little about it. Meaning he will want to speak to you individually as well, but he seems to be taking a beat to sort of gather his bullshit.
I would like to add,
shook him.
While the doctor was out of the room, I absolutely did go to play with Lancet.
Get your fingers bit.
It was
Shake.
centered.
Is there any chance that I heard any of that? I will ask Jackson whether it's
by all means. I don't think it was a Ray's voice, but if Ares is in the business of chopping eaves,
yeah.
it's entirely
Shapiro was
possible.
definitely keeping it on the down low. You may make a hard listen roll, absolutely. And this is also, just to be clear, this is pretty much without penalty. Like, this is you just standing there. Yep. They won't spot you. It's just gonna be difficult to do.
Okay. It's mainly, I'm more interested in hearing Sam's side of things than I am specifically about Shapiro's.
100%.
Yeah, hard success.
Nice.
Given that there was no risk involved in that one, do you want me to not tick that?
No, not take the tick, because there was a chance of not getting it, and that's you demonstrating tremendous skill.
You might have fumbled.
Yeah.
What's the chance?
And fallen out the window.
Yeah.
All I want to do then is, as Sam comes back into the room, I want to go up to the good doctor and just quietly sort of like go to sort of put a hand on his shoulder and just quietly in his ear go, we came out of the war with different takes on things, but you have a point. And it won't just be Shapiro you have on your side if there's anyone that needs to be extracted or protected. You're a good man, Sam. I'm glad to have you. And then do you say anything? If not, I'll just like... I assume what I hear then is Hubert going, ow, and then going, oh, for goodness sake, and then wandering back and trying to...
Oh, yeah, he bites when he's hungry.
No, I think
about
you don't
hamsters.
if I may, you don't hear any ow. But when you come back in, Hubert's got his hands in his pockets and there's a slight red stain like going over one pocket.
Yeah, and that is just enough for Eris to be like, Mr. Smith, would you be so kind as to take your hands out of your pockets?
I'm
going to wrap them.
I was contemplating a pincerment.
Yeah, and I will just like get something and just like wrap his fingers up and just be like, would you kindly keep your fingers out of things that bite?
Shapiro opens the door once more and says, Miss St. Clair, just a chance to talk privately.
Yes, quite. And she is halfway through reading something and her own notes and is kind of walking towards the door with it, like her nose in it. Yes.
As you get outside, you're still sort of looking things over, and he says, I look, Miss Sinclair, I don't want to draw you from your study. It's why we sought you out. Your mind is formidable, and we think you may have opportunity to glean information we could not without you. You've also proven yourself capable in the field, and if you're interested in continuing this investigation, as you said publicly, we'd be thrilled to have you along.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I mean, it's a bit of a no-brainer from me. The only question I do have, I suppose, is all of this knowledge, all of this, I suppose, awareness of new beings and hostile new beings. Where will this knowledge be kept, and how much of it will end up going public? Because I feel like hiding this, there might be some ethical concerns with keeping this knowledge from the people.
There's been attempts in the past. The Foundation has attempted to seed information and see if its spread would do good. We've been careful because where presented, people have a tendency to panic.
Well, yes.
I won't go into details because Dr. Sam's conversation and mine was private, but there is a concern that should people begin to perceive some other moving amongst them, that they could act rashly, and innocent people could get hurt. This has to be surgical.
Fair enough. There is always a worry, about large organizations and going overseas and into remote cultures and taking knowledge. I just want to be sure that I know your motivations are clear, but the organization in general, do forgive me if I still have some institutional doubts, I suppose you would call them.
Miss St. Clair, paranoia will get you far in this field. I'd encourage you to nurture it. Look into what you can, and where I have the opportunity to, I will give you as much information as possible. Understand there are some things even I do not know, but we have doubts. Question things. Let us make decisions together. We will present you with the briefs. We will present you with the problems we have found and the solutions we propose, but they may not always be the best. The four of you are the experts, and at the end of the day, you will be the boots on the ground. We have faith in you, so that you can have ultimately some faith in us.
Yes, well, I understand it's all very, very difficult, very dangerous, but I would regret it for the rest of my life if I said no, so...
Miss St.
Where do I
Clair,
sign?
and he holds out a hand to you.
Shakes it.
Welcome aboard.
There's an ink stain now on your hand, like a big smudge.
Excellent. He immediately and subconsciously goes to blot at his forehead, and so when he comes back into the room, there's just a little bit of like a black smear along Quinton's
Minnie's
forehead
behind
that
him,
he
is
appears not
just
to
like-
have noticed.
There is... Sorry, go ahead.
As like dramatic music plays, what I resume will be like the summary scene of the episode, and camera pans across us. We're all looking just above his eye line.
And he's like,
Yeah. There is a look from that. Like, you can see Carter's eyes go up, down to Minnie, back up, and just deadpan. Just like no expression, because this is military practice. You do not make a face, because if you do, someone will start calling you a maggot.
The four of you gather back in the room with the documents signed, and as the music swells, Shapiro says, well then, welcome to Caduceus, the true Caduceus, and let us talk now of our next mission. Let us talk of North Borneo and the serpents at work therein. And he puts down a folder with North Borneo written across it, and then it says underneath it, it reads action immediately. And we'll leave it there as we head into the next chapter and the next mission of the two-headed serpent.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Hot dog
Well,
game.
Yeah.
With
That was fun.
brains and brawn and heart, how could we go wrong?
Captain Planet. That was awesome. That was great, guys.
No, I think
really
I think Captain Carter.
fun. Captain Carter.
The problem is that we're gonna start putting up the rings and going fire, ice, snake, snake.
What?
Snake.
snake.
Awesome. So we will
What a
leave
time.
it there. Thank you all for playing, and thank you everyone for watching. We will be back next week, same time, same place, as we continue our campaign, and yeah, many more. We'll see you all then.
Can't wait.
Bye.